Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have a 7 Brew Cherry Blossom Green Tea. I don't know if you know 7 Brew or a fan of 7 Brew. I feel like I could take it or leave it. I have to be in the mood for it, but I am enjoying this green tea. So right now it's a win. Sometimes it just hits. Let me know if you're for or against 7 Brew. So today's video is going to be my March reading wrap up. I cannot believe that it's April and it's insane. It's kind of freaking me out, but here we go. Technically, I was like hours away from finishing this book in February, but the first book that I read is Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. This is book 2 in the Heartstrings series, and I've really enjoyed this series. I like the way that they have this like kind of different family dynamic type of focuses in each book. In the first book, First Time Caller, I think I rated it 5 stars. I rated this one 4.5 stars, so it's still like super good. I enjoyed following Jackson, the weatherman, more than I thought I was going to, honestly. I was like, he seems funny, but I wasn't sold on him in the first book. But from reading from his POV, I really liked him. And I still love this series. I wasn't really sure about following his perspective, like I said, but it gets into a lot of interesting family dynamics. He has an absent mother, and she kind of like wasn't there for him, basically abandoned him. He like didn't know if there was going to be food on the table, and that was just kind of how he lived his life. And then he became a teenager. She became pregnant again with twin girls. And when he became old enough, like in his early 20s, he asked her if he could take custody of them. And she was like, absolutely, and abandoned them. So he has custody of his younger sisters, and they're teenagers now. So it's like that dynamic is really cute, but it's also very sad because of why they're in that situation in the first place. But I liked reading about it. I also enjoyed his like planning and orderly nature, his way to control his environment. And Delilah was like a happy-go-lucky variable. You're following them, so they both do the weather. Jackson thinks Delilah is like his nemesis, and he thinks that she's not serious about her job and that she just like is flippant and doesn't really care about the weather and doesn't really know what she's talking about because she always shows up in like these costumes and these silly things, and she can't really do the type of weather that she wants to do. And part of that is because she has this like toxic work environment, and her boss doesn't want her to succeed. For whatever reason, he doesn't want her to succeed, and so he kind of like thwarts her and gives her stupid things. But then she's given this opportunity to collaborate with Jackson's station. So they're a radio station. She works for like the TV news. They're given a chance to collaborate on this huge snowstorm that's coming in. And so they go to this like remote place where the snowstorm's going to hit, and they're going to report from there. And her boss put her into it because he was expecting her to fail. And Jackson is really reluctant because he thinks she's not serious about her job, but she is really serious about her job. She's just not given opportunities. So the dynamic between the two characters is interesting, but also the dynamics of each character and what they're facing in their personal lives or work-wise is interesting. And I enjoyed reading about it. Again, with all of the background characters or supporting characters, I think B.K. Borison wrote them really well. For some reason in this series, like the first one and this one, the background characters, the side characters, like all of them kind of stand out, and you like all of them except the ones you're supposed to hate, right? But all the rest of them, really like them. They're written really well, they're enjoyable, they make you laugh. This is a very, like, this series like tugs on your heart, but also makes you laugh and talks about deep issues, and I think I just enjoy all of that in one package and how this series is done. Really cute also, and I appreciated it, particularly following the characters, the surrounding characters in her news job. Just because they're really interesting and different. And then of course you get Aiden a little bit in this book too, so that's kind of fun. Just really enjoying the series, so it was also a hit and would recommend it. Even if you were wary about following Jackson, I think you should read it. And like I said, I give that 4.5 stars. And then I read The God in the Gumiho by Sophie Kim. This is book 1 in the Fates of Thread series, in the Fates Thread duology. I really enjoyed this. It's been a while since this has been released, but I picked it up because I've been wanting to get to it for a really long time. I've heard great things about it, and it was just kind of one of those things where you're back and forth. But I picked it up, and I did like it. This one you're following, I don't remember what he's called. It's a lot of like Korean mythology, and it was really interesting, and I liked the Korean setting and how it's like the 90s like situation, but also modern. and people are living among these mythical creatures or monsters and they don't know. And so one of them is the Scarlet Fox, and she is a gumiho that has killed and stolen a lot of men's souls. And she's kind of like most wanted, essentially, but she went into hiding after she became so full of souls that she doesn't have to kill for a very long time, and so now she's just trying to avoid the law. And this, I don't remember how to say his name, and I listened to the audiobook, but I can't recall it. So Soika. The other character is this, like, god that is a trickster god, but he got into a lot of trouble with releasing evil into the world and trying to take down his brother, who's the king, like an emperor type of a situation, trying to take him down in like a coup. And he was defeated, so he was kind of sentenced to a horrible fate, and he had to, I think, capture like 10,000 evil spirits, souls, and trap them back to the underworld kind of thing. I'm kind of butchering this a little bit, but you know, just so you understand. Doing so, he's assigned to this like police force. He's like a detective, and he works with magical and non-magical creatures, and he's working to stop an evil that has come about that's like able to go into your dreams and kind of kill you, or like lull you into a sense that you don't know where you are and kill you, and it's a terrifying situation. So he ends up being on this investigation, but he's also trying to find the Scarlet Fox because, again, they're like a most wanted type of person, and through a situation, they think that she has reemerged. And so the Scarlet Fox catches wind of this and decides that she's going to help him solve the crimes, solve the mysteries, so that she can be on the inside and cover her tracks, basically. So it's an interesting premise, and it was a lot of fun. Parts of it that I was like, what is happening right now? Maybe a little bit, it kind of lulled for a second, but I enjoyed the story overall, for sure. I liked it. I took a break in the middle to read another book, which I'm sure affected this a little bit, but I enjoyed the setting a lot. I enjoyed that the god character really loves coffee, and he's like, this is the only thing good about the mortal world, and I'm like, you know what, fair. I enjoyed all the creatures, the mystery, the alliance between the enemies, one of which is pretending to be a co-worker, you know, while trying to just cover their tracks. I liked the dynamic between the two characters. So enjoyed, like, even though he talks about enjoying coffee, I enjoyed the theme of coffee throughout the book. It was kind of cozy and comforting at times. And it's funny because the Scarlet Fox character is a barista before she joins him on this job. And she hates coffee, and he's like, how could one hate the only thing good in the world? And it's funny. And I can understand that. The ending was a little crazy, and like upsetting. So I am excited to get to book 2, but I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to get to it, but hopefully soon. And I ended up giving it 4 stars. And then I read The Elsewhere Express by Samantha Soto Yambao. Let me tell you, I had really high hopes for this book, and I was really excited about it. And it kind of really disappointed me, unfortunately. This book was a strange experience. So the premise is that you're following a girl who, she wanted to be a musician, and through circumstances and her brother being terminally ill basically her whole life, her brother eventually dies. And then she decides to follow his dream, which is to become like a doctor. So she becomes, if she's not a doctor, I can't even remember at this point. If she's not a doctor, she's like a med student at least, and treating patients and working with patients. And the idea is that because she's kind of lost and doesn't really know what to do with her life and is dealing with this grief and responsibility and stuff that she doesn't really need to be carrying, she gets picked up by the Elsewhere Express, which is this like magical place where you might find your life's purpose. So like you couldn't find it in the real world, and then you get on the Elsewhere Express, and then there's this place for you to express like what you always wanted to do, and then you stay on it. How do I begin? I liked elements of it, but for me it kind of crossed the line of almost like too whimsical, because there's a point where it's like, when I realize that I understand where the story is going and I'm following the plot line, but I can't really understand completely what's happening all the time. That's when I know I've gotten to the whimsical section that I don't vibe with, is because I'm just like, huh? What is going on? And it's not because I don't know. It's not because I'm not listening. It's not because I'm not comprehending. It's because it's just so fluid. So it felt like no matter how much I read, it didn't make any sense and I couldn't fully grasp what was happening or what was going on. Other times it felt like I could. It was odd. I didn't love the ending, but there were a lot of imagery and topics that were brought in that I did like, and how you cannot hold on to dark feelings like grief, regret, blame, or else it will destroy you. It didn't meet my expectations, but for the right reader, I think it will work for you. So if it sounds like something you would like, give it a try. It wasn't my thing. Didn't love it. Gave it 2 stars. And then I read Throne of Nightmares by Carrie Maniscalco, and I was actually really excited about this book. I thought it would be fine, but in this series, this is book 3 in the Prince of Sin series. In this series, this is my favorite so far. I loved it. So in this one, you're following Sloth, and they're after this dark book that if you get your hands on it, it can like change the future of the whole world. And if a particular like witch, I think she's referred to in this story, if she gets a hold of it, everyone's doomed. I think it's called the Liber Noctum. And Sloth is on this mission to find it, but then in this like weird scenario, he gets betrayed and the book is missing. And then he runs into this mortal and they get wrapped up in this situation that maybe she has to do with it. And they are traveling inside fictional works, so fictional stories that this girl has read. And they're navigating these lands and trying to find this book. It was so fun. I loved the glimpses we got of Sloth in Kingdom of the Wicked and that series, like the Kingdom of the Wicked series and the Princes of Sin series, but was pumped for a book for him to himself, like just his perspective. I was really excited about it because I liked him a lot in the other books. I loved how his story was laid out. He's a mortal who gets sucked into like this magical realm in a mission that they didn't know existed. You know, like that whole trope is fun. She also happens to be an avid fantasy romance reader. So funny. I loved how the magic was centered around getting thrown into the stories that she's read and how the tropes develop and talking about the tropes. Like her being like, this is the scenario where I would be in the one bed. Like, it's really funny, especially as a reader. But I loved how she reveled in it sometimes. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in my favorite book. And how sometimes she was like, this is better in fiction than in reality. In reality, it's not so fun or not so exciting. It's actually scary. So it was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed her perspective, like I said. There's times where she's like, if we're at this tavern, we have to get this beer or this mead because it's talked about in the book and it's talked about how amazing it is. So if we're in the book, we have to try it, you know? And then she tries it and it's like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted. It was so great. And that's like the experience that you want to have as a reader. So that was so fun. I appreciated that because it was almost like you're in a fictional story, but then you're also getting those pieces of it. I liked the way it was done a lot. Sloth was also really interesting to follow. He's more like calm, cool, collected, like that kind of vicious. He's also very logical and intelligent and can like file away information and recall it really easily. He like memorizes what he reads. He loves his library. Oh, it was just so great. I had a lot of fun with this and I really enjoyed the story. Like I said, my favorite so far. So I think if you've been wavering on this series or you've like kind of liked it, haven't loved it, or you haven't been wanting to read any of them at all because it just like none of them have jumped out to you, read this one. It was fun. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. And then last but not least, because I've been trying to read this other book for a long time and it's still not done and it's in April, was Nightbane by Alex Astor. This is book 2 in the Lightlark series. I want to continue to try to finish this series pretty quickly. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it in April because I'm also trying to finish Throne of Glass and I haven't been able to get to Kingdom of Ash, or I haven't been able to get to Empire of Storms yet, so we'll see. I'm still really enjoying this series. Obviously, I can't tell you what it's about because it's the second book. But in the first one, it's like a deadly competition. It's like a competition. It's kind of compared to the Hunger Games I talked about in my wrap-up, how it's not as cutthroat and killing as all that. But all of the rulers have these curses put on them because of this big curse that happened long ago. And so, like, the moon people, the moonlings or whatever, can't come out at night. And that's really unfortunate because that's their whole thing. They all have these curses. And they compete in these trials, and if anybody wins this competition, then the curse will be broken. So this is the second book in the series, and you're following the same characters, and I'm still really, like I said, I'm still really enjoying this series, but for some reason, there was something, like, missing in this for me. I don't know why, because I do like it, but there's just something in it that kept me from being, like, super emotionally invested, and it's not like I'm not a little bit invested, because I am, but there's something about it where I'm not, like, on the edge of my seat like I am with books that I really love. I want to know, but I don't care like I should. This book also plays a lot with memory loss, and sometimes while listening to the audiobook, I found it a little bit difficult to keep track of if we were in the past or the present, just because of how it transitions. And it's not, like, I think it even says it, but like the way it transitions and the way it talks, it was almost like I could be listening and it would switch perspectives of past or present, and I would be like, whoa, what's happening, where are we? And I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I think something about how it was written was not easy to transition via audiobook. So maybe it was like that if you read it physically too, I don't know. So that was a little bit jarring, a little bit, I had to adjust a lot with that and like rewind and be like, wait, what's going on? Where am I? Other than that, it's an interesting story and I am going to continue. The ending of this one was a little bit crazy, so obviously there's always going to be cliffhangers and stuff like this. I'm going to finish the series, I am going to continue. But I ended up giving it 4 stars. Not a bad rating, just again, not like super emotionally invested, you know? Those are all of the books that I was able to finish in April. I'm currently reading Eldritch by Carrie Lake and trying to finish it as soon as possible so I can get to my April reads because I just can't put it down. I can't like stop in the middle of it, you know? Oh, I'm sorry. That is not all the books I read. I also read Legendary by Stephanie Garber. Because me and Becky are doing that read along, so I did read this. I just haven't put it on my Goodreads challenge because it feels a little bit, I don't know. I reread it. I should put it on there, but I haven't been. But I did read it. Still love this series. I'm happy to report. I probably would rate them higher now than I did originally, honestly, but I still really love this series. It is so fun following Tella and Dante and Jax in this new story. Because you're following Tella's perspective instead of Scarlett's. And the world really opens up with the fates, and there's a lot of more interesting dangers looming. So really enjoyed this. Check out Becky and I's video talking about the book together, doing a little bit of read-along videos every month. Hers is up on her channel. We did it live, but the recording is up. And then we're going to be doing the one for finale in this month in April. I believe on the 19th. We can double check that, but make sure you follow along. If you want to read along with us, go right ahead, especially if you want to catch up. But if not, hopefully you can swing over to her channel and watch it there. Those are all the books that I read in March. Excuse me. I think I said April before. I'm losing my mind. Okay. I would love to know what your favorite read of March was or what your least favorite read of March was. Leave me a comment down below. That is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.